Probability IB questions, problem 7. In problem 7, they give a tree diagram that is showing us the outcomes of a survey that the supermarket took. And the survey was to find the time taken to be served and the amount of money a customer spends. Alright, so here is what they found. So in part A, it says, if a customer spends less than $50, the probability of them taking more than 4 minutes to be served is 0.25. Alright, let's think about this. So they're saying, okay, our customer is spending less than, y'all can't see that, let's make that darker, is spending less than $50, then the probability that they're waiting more than 4 minutes, that's 0.25. As a reminder, these little V's or little branches off of our trees, 0.25 plus whatever's here has to equal 1. Again, up here, 0.8, so 8/10 has to, plus whatever's down here has to equal 1. Same thing with 3/10, has to equal 1. So if they give us just one part like they did here, we can find the other part of this branch. So they gave us the probability that we wait more than 4 minutes. We can find out the probability that they wait less than or equal to 4 minutes, saying 1 minus, well, our 25/100ths, 0.25. And then they give us 8/10, so we can find this, 3/10, so we can find this probability, and so on. We just fill out our tree diagram. With B, they ask us to calculate the probability that, 1, the customer spends $50 or more. Well, we don't need to calculate anything here because they give this to us in the tree diagram. We know that it's going to be 30% or 3/10, or 3/10, depending on if you want to put this as a percent, a fraction, or a decimal. They give it to us right here. This is the probability that someone's going to spend $50 or more. In B part 2, it says, find the probability or calculate the probability that the customer waits for more than 4 minutes and spends $50 or more. Well, we're saying, okay, we're looking for someone who waited more than 4 minutes. We see that here, and we see that here. We're also looking for a customer that spent $50 or more. Well, we can't go down here because they spent less than $50. So we know that we're focusing on this path right here, which means that we are going to be multiplying our probabilities that a customer spends $50 or more and waits more than 4 minutes in order to find the probability that a customer is waiting for more than 4 minutes and spending $50 or more. By multiplying 3/10 and 8/10, we find 24/100ths. In part C, again, this is a conditional probability question. It says, given that the customer waited for more than 4 minutes, find the probability that they spent $50 or more. Now, this can be kind of confusing, the way that it is written out. Say, I'm not really sure what to do with this. Well, we can reword it to look like something that's more familiar to us. So if you're following along with me with the sheet that you got, say, find the probability that they spent $50 or more given that the customer waited for more than 4 minutes. Well, that sounds familiar. This is a probability of A given B type of problem. So what we're looking for is the probability that a customer spends $50 or more given they waited 4 more minutes. Well, we know using our conditional probability formula that this is equal to the probability of a customer spending more than $50 and waiting more than 4 minutes. Our notation right here, divided by the probability of them waiting more than 4 minutes. So let's first take a look. Again, I'm going to color code this. You've seen this in other problems if you've seen it or if you've been watching them. So the probability of someone spending more than $50 and waiting more than 4 minutes, that's right here. And we actually found that in B part 2. So we already have that under our belt. Now we're going to look for the probability that a customer is waiting for more than 4 minutes. Well, that's in 2 places. We talked about that earlier. We have 2 places where customers wait more than 4 minutes. Either they're spending $50 or more, or they're spending less than $50. So we already multiplied up this way to find the probability that a customer spends $50 or more and waits more than 4 minutes. Well, we're going to have to multiply down this path to find the probability that a customer spends less than $50 and waits more than 4 minutes. This probability, which I accidentally got the P there, just use blue. We know this is a probability of less than $50 and more than 4 minutes is equal to 7/10 right here multiplied by 25 hundredths, which gives us 175 thousandths, 0.175. And what do we do when we have 2 events that fulfill the same thing that we're looking for? We add them together. That was supposed to be a big addition sign, but this guy's in the way. So we're adding 24 hundredths and 175 thousandths. And you can see that. Sure that this is in lavender right here. So we're adding the probability someone spends more than $50 and waits 4 minutes and the probability that someone spends less than $4 and waits 4 minutes, and we find 415 hundredths. Now we just plug what we found in green and purple into our equation for our conditional probability. So the probability that they spend $50 or more given they waited 4 more minutes, which is 24 hundredths divided by our, it's like 415 thousandths. I trust that y'all can handle this on your own to find what that comes out to. Just pop it into your calculator and see what you get.